Welcome back to another episode of These Crazy People That Just Eat Meat and Can't Stop Talking About It. It's me, Tom, and Justin, all out life carnivore, here to engage the deep conversation about what, Justin?
Hi, welcome back to the Meat Mosaic YouTube channel. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to another Sunday Night Live. We're essentially live every Sunday evening at 5 p.m. At least Tom, maybe me, maybe both of us and a few guests, few famous faces, recognized faces in the carnivore slash keto slash conscious eating slash combat food addiction slash whatever group that it is become. Sadly, I do have something sad to report.
Hmm.
I stopped following the Strong Sisters Instagram. Um,
Recently?
yeah, like today. Yeah.
Hmm.
Used to love them. I
Are they
thought they
still
had.
around? I didn't know they were still around.
They are still around. Yeah, they've got their own program and they're doing their own thing. But they've really fallen down the like carbs are good for you, Ray Pete rabbit hole, and like legit putting up quotes of Ray Pete on their Instagram. And I don't know, just felt like this wasn't about that anymore. I found myself ignoring more of their content instead of liking it. So I was like, time to unfollow. So
Finally.
um, I know, I know. Uh, they had their own journey and things like that. But it's really weird, this divide in our community, and it's kind of, I don't know. We'll have to see how it all shakes out in the end. But yeah, so it was a little emotional for me to unfollow them, and
Really?
it's kind of a bummer because they were the two sisters that were on the Doctor Show
Mm,
with Paul Saladinosaur. So like
right.
the people that don't watch Joe Rogan, that's pretty much their exposure to the carnivore diet.
Mm,
And then the people that were on there are no longer, I don't know, it's an argument, but not on the carnivore diet. Kind of interesting. But anyway, give us a like, give us a subscribe. Please continue to follow us. Um, I don't think me or Tom will promote Ray Pete ever. So if you don't like that, then I guess you don't have to worry that. If you do like the Ray Pete stuff, well, I don't know. Maybe we're not the channel and people for you. Although we won't fight you or anything. Won't be mean to you. Well, might make the occasional joke, but um, won't be too hard. But make sure you are subscribed. Go ahead and slap a T-bone, not a glass of orange juice on that notification bell. And
mhm.
today's topics are something I just thought about recently because I was like, okay, this whole like definition of health, how you feel healthy, what should be the goal of a health promoting program, diet, what have you?
Mm,
What are we actually reaching for, looking for that could be universalized, right? Because even the really simple one of losing weight, there are people that need to get healthy because they need to gain weight,
mm,
right? Um, or there's people that just don't have an interest in losing weight. So even we all know that losing weight is a faulty measurement of health, but that's one that 70% of people flock to, right? So still have to talk about that. And then it's like, well, decrease inflammation. It's like, yeah, that's pretty good, but at the same time, it's not like the goal is to get C-reactive protein down to zero, right? So like some level of discomfort, some level of inflammation is necessary and good for the body. So that doesn't even like you
Yeah,
can't.
let's circle back to inflammation later when you're done giving your explanation.
Yeah, and so that even seems like it could be something that could be universalized, but like that still can't be universalized. So, I was like, okay, what's a something universal that we can talk about that's like, okay, everyone that wants improved health, what are we going for? And so I landed on two things. I landed on metabolic and mitochondrial stability. And to me, what that means is just, um, everyone knows glucose stability, right? Keeping in that more or less normal range. But even more than that, just keeping your numbers more or less centered in about a 20-point range 24/7, more or less. Um, Mitochondrial is, I'm not quite sure if it's something that we could actually run a test for daily or anything like that, but you know uh, your symptoms, right? So what are the symptoms? Me and you both recently finished, well, you for the third time, brain energy, but it's like the mitochondrial damage causes the symptoms of mental illness, right? And we know mitochondrial damage and dysfunction cause the symptoms of many other illnesses. And mitochondrial dysfunction can be overactive or underactive. And the symptoms of overactive or underactive can also be paradoxical. In other words, an overactive mitochondrial symptom can actually make you feel tired and overworked, whereas underactive could do the same or complete opposite, depending on what part of the body and what that responsibility is for that um, organ or system or hormone, etc. So it's like, okay, well, what are we shooting for? And to me, no matter what I'm working on, I am trying now to think in terms of my actions, my diet. Is this helpful or harmful to my mitochondria and to my metabolic function? I feel like framing it in that terms really can simplify, and we can start to universalize and speak in a way that's actually helpful without getting into these dragged in the mud of fruit and blue light and sleep and all important, but we all argue about the strategy and implementation.
Universalize, man. What do you threw in a new word on me there?
Right. So, like in philosophy, your ethics have to be able to be universalized. In other words, your your philosophy, your ethics have to apply to all people at all times, at all spaces, and at all time, across time.
At all times, across time.
Uh huh.
All righty then.
The prompts, or the how do you call them? The proofs have to, and the arguments have to stand true, despite whether me and Tom are broadcasting from the moon, or we're broadcasting from Earth, or we're broadcasting in the 18th century, or we're broadcasting in the Paleolithic period, or we're broadcasting now. It has to be
Kind of tough
universal.
broadcasting from the Paleolithic era.
Oh, we could do it.
Can we? You're ambitious today.
What do you think the Egyptian pyramids were for?
Right, broadcasting.
They were for broadcasting.
Were they built in the Paleolithic era?
No, they were not.
Oh. All right. Well, we'll sort that out later.
Actually, we don't quite know, do we?
No, we don't.
Part depends on what layer and what part you're talking about. Actually,
I suppose.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I for a long time I'd been reading about mitochondrial function because a lot of other people brought it up in nutrition circles, right? Mm-hmm. And it was so deep in the weeds, it was kind of hard to talk about it. And before I forget, let's say hi to Miss Patricia. She's here. So, it's one thing to kind of understand what's going on that level. And then it's very tough to draw analogies for people to sort of compare on the surface, right? Because you start reading these books about mitochondrial function, and the brain energy one was the first one I read. They really tied the psychiatric issues to mitochondrial function. Mm-hmm. But there's lots of them where they talk about other functions in the body. So it's been known for a long time that people um, people with psychiatric problems oftentimes had higher levels of lactate in the brain, and presumably it's there as a fuel or possibly a byproduct, but you know, we're thinking it's probably fuel. So the best analogy I could come up with is it's pretty widely known that particularly when you first start lifting weights or something like that, doing some, maybe you're doing sit-ups for the first time ever, and then like the next day your abdominal muscles are just screaming, right? They're just burning. And so a lot of that's attributed to lactate left over in the muscles, right?
Mm.
So imagine that you go on a different diet, and then you notice, oh, that sort of deep burning in my abdominals didn't happen the next time you started doing whatever exercise, you get maybe some mild soreness. You did something the day before, but they're not screaming like they did last time you started some new challenge or whatever. So that's one of the best analogies that came across that people could relate to, I think, in general, is that the alternate fuel in the brain causes the mitochondria to behave differently. I guess we could call it stability. I mean, if we liken stability to optimal performance and feeling of well-being and healthy and, good quality of life, then yeah, I think that's kind of where we're at. Is we've learned that even though some of the cells in the brain or the body in general do require glucose, you're better off just fueling your body with animal fat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let the body generate whatever glucose it needs, right? Because when you eat too much sugar, carbohydrates, you have too high of a circulating level of blood sugar, then we run into issues where the fuel might be locked out of a certain area, or you're fueling cells with more glucose than they're used to, and then the mitochondria react to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So mitochondria's primary function that we've known of anyways is to generate energy on the cellular level. So it takes in fuel in the cell and converts that into what's known as ATP. And the ATP is the energy unit in the cell. Now that ATP, depending on the cell and depending on the mitochondria, can be made from different primers, different fuel derivatives, right? So it seems that when people are properly fueled with fat, of course, in his book, Dr. Palmer is not a carnivore. So he kind of puts in more of a keto diet, which keto is a high fat diet. And a lot of people on a ketogenic diet do eat a lot of plant-based fats like coconut oil or olive oil and stuff like that is very common. And people do tend to do better on keto than they do on a standard diet, right? But of course our bent on this is that the animal fat is superior to the plant fats, just like animal proteins are superior to plant proteins. So I think Justin and I are easily in agreement on that, because the way we look at all those plant proteins and plant fats come packaged with anti-nutrients, pesticides, and typically carbohydrates, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, you can't, and most of them are activated when shredded, when the plant is being destroyed or cut down or something, which is also really interesting.
Yeah. As soon as you liberate the fats or oils from plants, they begin to oxidize, right? So it doesn't matter if we're talking about peanut oil, olive oil, coconut oil, they start to react and break down, right? Or famous one, fish oils. Even you extract the fish oil from the fish and it immediately starts to oxidize, and then you have byproducts like aldehydes, which are poisonous, that start developing in them. Whereas if you just ate the fish, you don't have that problem, right?
Right.
So yeah, and the mitochondria react to all these different types of fuels, and just like they react to everything, and they react to the anti-nutrients and stuff like that in plants. They react to caffeine just like they react to THC and alcohol, and on and on and on. Oh, hi, Christina. Michael, Maja, and Christina are here as well. It's good to see you
Hello.
guys. Thanks for coming. So, on a cellular level, this is what what's starting to be revealed is whatever we eat and drink influences mitochondrial behavior. And the mitochondria don't just make the energy, they also signal all kinds of other processes, right?
Mhm.
Neurotransmitters, peptides, they signal the nucleus, which the nucleus is where your nuclear DNA is, right? So that's the combined DNA of your parents there. And then the DNA and the mitochondria is actually inherited, that the mitochondria are inherited from your mother. Assuming most of us had a mother of one type or another, right? So I wanted to get back to inflammation because it's one of the weird things I've noticed is conversations about inflammation. When I think about inflammation, I primarily think of inflamed tissue. Like your brain could be inflamed, or part of your brain, right? Or
Mhm.
a joint, or you stub your toe and it swells up like a balloon, right? um you smash your thumb on the table saw, break it in a couple places, and it swells up and turns purple. Seen that one firsthand. But I hear these other conversations, people talk about inflammation. They say, oh, they have this weird sort of thing that all body fat is inflammation
Mm.
or something like that. And it's like, well, so somebody is 10% body fat. You're saying they're 10% inflamed, right?
Right.
And I think of inflammation more as an immune system reaction to some sort of injury or assault, biological chemical assault, infection, toxic substances or something like that. So I am a little leery of some of the conversations I've heard about inflammation in general, right? It seems like people kind of overgeneralize it. So I just want to make clear that when we talk about it, or at least when I talk about inflammation, I think Justin as well, we're not talking about everything being all inclusive. That it seems like the concept of inflammation is very vague out there. So I like to be a little more specific. So yeah, you can have inflammation on the wrong diet. I mean, we see chronic people who eat high carbohydrate diets tend to have more likely to have inflamed joints, right? So the tissue in the joints, let's say the cartilage, the fascia, or whatever, tends to have more liquid. Oftentimes there's accelerated blood supply, right, to the area, and it should be temporary, right? If it goes on, if it's persistent, and it's a chronic condition, right?
Right. Yeah.
And that's when we have a problem, right?
Right. Definitely. And yeah, inflammation. The body doesn't do anything that's necessarily isolated and harmful to itself, right? We're not designed that way. The body's a self-healing mechanism, and so we have these tests that can study the levels of inflammation and things like that. And yeah, there's thresholds and things like certain levels, but like I said, the goal of getting zero inflammation in the body is not only, I think, impossible, but also just really kind of really funny and just like a fool's errand, you know. Um, or there's a lot of people that get hyper focused on cortisol or C-reactive protein or some other measurement, and they're like, oh, see, you eat red meat or you eat too much protein and this level goes up and that level goes up, or this level's not coming down fast enough, and they
Oh, yeah.
think they know what it means, but
What was it?
to
Yeah, go ahead.
say what it means to an individual, um, we don't know, right? And so I think just be wary of people that are hyper focused. I think cortisol could be an issue. And I think me and Tom typically go back to having symptomatic issues with that go along with a certain reading. You know, a very good one I think is the Michaela example recently, where I think her wasn't her iron. I think it was her folate or something was like a little bit out of range or something like that. Um, and so now, you know, everyone has to comment on it or whatever.
Yeah, and like I think what you and I both agreed was, if that the level tested low, then maybe she should repeat the test, and see where it's at, right? Because all these blood tests are just a snapshot of one moment in time, right?
Mm,
And really, you find more meaning, or at least I find more meaning in taking multiple snapshots and comparing them, right?
right.
And since we were talking about inflammation and red meat in particular, as people are always saying, red meat's inflammatory, right? That's a big thing.
Mm,
I think you probably saw that study I posted. Basically, my take on this whole thing about red meat being inflammatory, I call it just bro science. It's just something people just keep repeating. There doesn't seem to be any studies that demonstrate that. So there doesn't seem to be any science behind it. And I've heard people make all kinds of accusations about red meat or whatever cheese being inflammatory. And it's like, okay, well, show me the science. Because, if you look at the whole population of the earth, of course, you're going to find somebody that's allergic to red meat, right? Particularly if you've been bit by the Lone Star tick or something, and it's a temporary situation. But for people in general, it seems like red meat is actually not inflammatory. And there is, I guess I can share it. There is a study, and we consider, I'm sure Justin agreed with me. We kind of consider it where's the stupid share button now? A good study because it's a meta-analysis of randomized controlled studies. So they looked at several studies and compared them and found no indication that red meat was inflammatory. Can't believe I can't find the share now all of a sudden.
Well, I mean, technically, so their hypothesis was that they would notice some inflammatory markers. It came back that they didn't. Basically, the usual, we need more research. We weren't able to prove yada, yada, but we still can't say that meat's not inflammatory, basically, which is fine. I mean, that's science being political and science being science in the current age, I suppose. But I took a snapshot of the sentence. What was it? There is not an all size fits all for.
For glycemic control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought that was really, really, really funny. I mean,
Yeah.
it's funny, sad, not like funny, ha ha.
And what did it actually have to do with the study? That was the weird thing.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think because like this, a lot of the meta-analyses were on diabetic patients. I think, like those with type 2 diabetes. Yeah, and so they were using them to see. And again, nothing about how much meat. Obviously, no one was in the study was on a pure carnivore diet. Just some were having a higher percentage of meat intake compared to others, and they just couldn't sort out that the meat was having an inflammatory effect.
So this one was on PubMed or the National Library of Medicine. And it's relatively recent. It's from 2021. It says effects of total red meat intake on glycemic control and inflammatory biomarkers. Meta-analysis of randomized control trials. So Again, a lot of times when we are finding something useful in studies, um, they are not looking to support our position,
Right.
but we find that it does support our position, even though that wasn't their intention. So, anyways, invite people to read it. Um, like I said before, reading studies, the first couple you read are they tend to be a little confusing or a little tough. But after you read a few of them and, just take your time, like maybe read one a week or something. You could get used to reading them and you start to understand what's going on in here. Um, Most of these studies have an abstract at the beginning. Most people don't read more than that.
Most researchers don't read more than that. Most grad students don't read abstract conclusion, abstract conclusion.
Yeah.
Maybe methodology, which is actually the most important part of the study, in my opinion, is methodology, how actually the study was done.
Yeah. So, and again, this is a study of other studies. So there's a lot to take in or whatever, but it gets to be more interesting and less intimidating the more of these you read. And the problem is that 9 times out of 10, when you're reading some sort of article or something, some headline or whatever, you're just reading somebody else's opinion about the study, and who knows if they actually read it, So, Raymond F's here. Dr. Baker just did a short on this paper today. Oh, no kidding. Well, there you go. So Sean covered it too. I've seen it come up before, so I couldn't tell you exactly when or where, but obviously it's been out a couple of years, so it's going to pop up from time to time. I'm sure it'll come up again. Hell, we'll probably be reading it again in a year and forgot we did it. So,
Right.
did we talk about this? So, but it's a goodie. So, anyways, yeah, you guys, if you guys don't know, there's, I know I posted it in Autistic Carnivores, and maybe I posted it in Meat Mosaic, a whole long list of places where you can look up studies. But PubMed is probably one of the most common, and there's also PLOS One and so on and so forth. So if you got it in you to want to read up and look for stuff, I find interesting things all the time that I've never heard anybody else talk about. I don't know that they're terribly significant, but I just stumbled onto that whole thing about streptococcus, being the thing that gives us cavities, and how streptococcus and candida, they cohabitate in the film in your mouth, and they help each other break down starches and sugars to feed themselves. So, I'm like, well, there you go. Streptococcus causes strep throat and cavities, and it likes to eat sugar. So, I don't think it's any secret that, sweets tend to cause cavities, right? So I'd asked the dentist about it. I said, "Oh, what is it that what bacteria causes the cavities, or they call them dental caries?" And he said, "Oh, it's streptococcus." So, and then I found another paper that was talking about staphylococcus, which lives on our skin. It's the primary bacteria that causes body odor. But of course, it's the one that causes staph infections too. So, you kind of think, well, on the surface, it looks like it's a good idea to avoid eating foods that feed, staph and strep and candida, right? Candida is a fungus. So, anyways, lots of people, just not to be too graphic about it, but candida is normally the one that it gives guys jockage, and it gives girls what do you call it,
Yeast infections.
Right? It's the same thing. This primary. So there's a whole family of funguses like that. Ringworm's very similar, presents differently, and it can show up anywhere on your skin. Athlete's foot, and there's one more. They're all very similar funguses, and they all kind of feed on the same thing. So So, anyways, easy enough to avoid, and on the surface, to me, I think it's a good argument for not to avoid eating sugars and starches and carbohydrates, right? So,
Yeah, certainly. I mean, you avoid those fungal infections, which and dentist bills are insane, and
mm,
insurance oftentimes don't cover enough for dentist issues. And dental issues, I mean, that's something that I've seen people struggle with throughout the lifespan, right? Childhood usually begins having some issues. I know most of my dental issues were as a child when I was probably eating the worst, As an adult, I really haven't had any issues. And especially since going carnivore, I've had no issues, no reason. I mean, okay, I should probably go to a dentist, but like I don't have any pain, no swelling, no bleeding gums, no bad breath. Um,
did your girlfriend like chisel your teeth so they were nice and clean? Did she get in there with a wire brush and scrub them down white? Oh
no,
no, she bought you a toothbrush.
she
That's right.
brought me a fancy like electric cool. Well, that's not quite true. Her friend bought us toothbrushes, like super
Ooh,
fancy electric
well, that's a
toothbrushes.
nice gift.
I'd been a manual toothbrush man my entire life, but
Mm,
now that I've got the whole like electric toothbrush thing going on, not sure I can ever go back to manual. I'm just throwing that out
yeah,
there.
I don't want to sound like a bourgeois softy, but I do like the electric toothbrush myself. So, I don't know if I talked about this already, but I always had this question about coconut oil because especially in keto, people are always pushing coconut oil, and then people are like, yeah, that's antimicrobial, and I'm thinking, well, if it's antimicrobial, how do you know when you eat it, it's killing the right microbes, right?
uh,
So that was always saying. So I went down that rabbit hole, and I was like, okay, what microbes does coconut oil kill? And I never found like a comprehensive list, but I found all these studies that were done on things like candida and staphylococcus and stuff like that. And so on the skin, it is a very effective antibiotic for certain types of infections. So if you got something itchy from your new date on Tinder, maybe try a little coconut oil. I'm just saying.
or after a new tattoo, it's great tattoo care.
Oh, really? Well,
Mhm.
probably is, huh?
Yeah, better than that linolin laced, whatever it's called. I forget that. Uh, there's you know what linolin is, right?
Linolin?
Is that what it's called? Other people
I
pronounce
don't
it
know. I
differently.
don't know what
But
linolin is.
it's from sheep, right?
Oh, yeah, it's lanolin.
Yeah, well,
I never heard
linolin.
it called linolin before. Maybe that's how they say it down in old Missouri. Old Mo.
So I had a friend that got a tattoo and put one of the like it was A&D ointment, and
Mm.
A&D ointment actually has linolin in it, or linolin, whatever we're calling it, and she got like a crazy like rash on her tattoo from it, and had to switch to like a coconut oil
Ew.
based like tattoo aftercare stuff. So yeah, interesting, yeah.
Mm. All right, then. So coconut oil, okay on the outside, not something I eat on the inside. So.
Well, and also like honey, right? Honey's also like antibacterial, antifungal, I think, for some things as well. Can do some great things on the skin. That doesn't mean you should eat it.
Mm. Yeah, it's kind of sticky. I don't like sticky. Besides, you might wake up with ants all over you.
Maybe, I don't know. I mean,
Well, I don't know. Do ants eat honey? I assume they do.
I
Maybe.
think only certain breeds of ants. I know some ants love Coca-Cola. I learned that the bad way as a
Mm.
child. I was drinking Coca-Cola. I set it down on the table in the middle of summer in West Covina. Um, I took a nap, just fell dead asleep. Woke up an hour later. Oh, there's my Coca-Cola. Took a huge swig, and just like ants. It was the
I
grossest thing I like ever. One of the grossest things I'd ever experience. So another reason to stay away from the Coca-Cola.
Mm.
There you go.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if there's any studies of Coca-Cola on mitochondrial function.
Hey, but Coca-Cola is great for removing stuck on food from pans and stuff like that. So
No way.
yeah, just let it sit for a couple hours and whoop, right off.
I know when I was a kid, there was this thing. They would say, "Oh yeah, they use Coke or Diet Coke or something to wash blood off the highway after a car accident." Did you ever hear that when you were a kid?
Yeah. I don't know if I ever confirmed that was true or not.
As an adult, I assume it's not. I've never seen the highway patrol pouring Coke on the road. Never seen a lot of accidents, but I've never seen that. So I'm pretty sure that was BS.
Okay. Yeah. Well, isn't there some experiment where like you can take a hunk of meat, put it in Coca-Cola, and like it dissolves it or whatever? Like eats it
Again,
away?
I've heard that many times, never actually seen it done,
Well, you
but
should do it. You should do it.
I remember my dad telling me that. All right,
Mm.
I'll sacrifice a little piece of steak.
Yeah. Do
So-
one cooked and one raw because everyone's going ape over raw versus cooked again too.
I wonder if Miss Patricia, Michael Mosh, Christina, or Raymond Neff have ever heard that story about dissolving meat in Coca-Cola.
I'm sure they have. Who hasn't?
They must have. So, anyways, all right. So, we're circling back to mitochondrial function.
I suppose we should try to.
I wonder if we could find a study that
it dissolves enamel.
I
Now,
can-
is that the sugar content or is that like the actual contents of Coke even without sugar?
it's the sugar feeding the streptococcus. That's what it is.
Oh, that's right. I know you can put Coke on corroded, and I've actually done it. You can put Coke on corroded battery, like the battery cables that have that corrosion on them,
And
and it gets rid of it.
Normally use baking soda for that.
But you could just crack open a bottle of Coke and pour it on your battery, and it'll get rid of it.
So is Coke acidic or alkaline? Well, another one of life's mysteries. It's got to be acidic, right?
Yeah. See, Christina said she used Coca-Cola to clean battery terminals, to cleanse chrome. See, all these uses.
Wow.
Maybe you ought to put on your tire, your big tire.
It's probably there's probably something in there that breaks up the oxidation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what rust is and the corrosion is, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Coca-Cola, good for household chores, not good for drinking.
Yeah.
All right. So, like I said,
well, I mean, most of that stuff, right? Like apple cider vinegar, great cleaner, not good to be inside you.
We have to have a contest. We'll do corroded battery terminals, steak. What else? Something rusty, and we'll see what works best. Apple cider vinegar, Coca-Cola,
baking soda,
white
vinegar.
Oh, I'll try some white vinegar. Why not?
Lemon juice.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with somebody the other day because, like, they had gotten some lemons from somebody, and they were like, "Oh, it's so amazing! Got some lemons," and I'm like, "Wow, I could walk down the street and find them laying by the road." They're just like, they're almost a nuisance sometimes. I'm sure Justin has had to go somewhere, and in California, and there was like the freeway was shut down because load oranges was dumped on the freeway. It's like a classic Southern California catastrophe. All right, so we got to clean a penny. I got to find some rusty chrome.
Your chrome dome, rusty chrome dome.
I have a rusty truck, but there's no chrome on it. That's the only problem. I've got a 77 International Super Scout. They came with factory rust. So sometimes at night when it's really quiet, I could actually hear it out there resting. But there's no chrome on it, so I can't clean the chrome. Oh, maybe I can get something off of one of Aaron's demolition derby cars.
Well, there you go.
See if we'll clean it with Coke. See what happens.
Mm-hmm. And you got to try Diet Coke, Coke Zero, and Classic Coke.
Oh, so now I got to go to the store and buy all these different types of Coca-Cola. Nice. Just set up a laboratory. I mean, how do you know if you're going to clean a penny? How do you know they're equally corroded?
Or corroded with the same stuff? I don't know.
It's not
oxidized.
Should we get Bart to design the test for us?
He'll probably just list everything.
Maybe we can grow some staph and some staphylococcus and some streptococcus and see what it feeds better on, Coca-Cola, honey, or what else?
I don't know, some kind of sweet fruit, grapes, bread. Throw in like bread.
Bananas. That's what everybody eats. Bananas. So you've been going to the gym, keeping your mitochondria active there, Justin?
No, I have not. I've been upsetting my mitochondria quite a lot lately.
Really? So what have you been eating? What have you been feeding your mitochondria?
Let's just say the new Dr. Pepper Zero is really good.
Yuck.
I had half a bottle, not a 2 liter, like a half of like a 20-ounce bottle, and I was like, I need to stop this. This could go really bad.
What'd your mitochondria say?
Oh, they're most upset. They're not happy at all.
Yeah. See what you do.
Yeah, I know.
That girlfriend might be a bad influence.
Just a little bit.
What did you? I'm having a hard time imagining you randomly bought a bottle of the Diet Dr. Pepper.
Right, I didn't. She bought it, but I was like, but Dr. Pepper was always my favorite soda. That was my go-to, was Dr. Pepper.
I have tasted Diet Dr. Pepper.
No, it's not the diet one. It's the Dr. Pepper Zero, like Coke Zero.
Yeah, that's nasty.
It's really good, actually. No, it's really good. It is the closest tasting diet soda I've ever had. I could never drink Diet Coke. Thought it was nasty. Never drink Diet Pepsi. I thought that was
but you could drink Zevia, and I was like,
I do drink.
God, why did I even think this could taste good?
I do. I can't drink Zevia. Stevia doesn't. I mean, it bothers me, but the taste doesn't bother me of stevia. And I was drinking stuff with stevia in it before even carnivore.
Yeah, stevia was a thing. I tried it. I was like, this is disgusting. Why would anybody eat this? It's so weird tasting.
I still can't do Splenda though. I could never do Splenda or that other one. I forget what the hell it's called.
I could do
Sweet and Low. Yeah, no.
No, Sweet and Low is nasty too.
Yeah.
It was bitter. But I think Splenda's a yellow packet, and I forget what the blue one was.
Yeah. Sweet and Low. I thought the blue one's Sweet and Low.
Was it Sweet and Low the pink packet? I don't know. But anyways, I remember tasting all those, and it seemed like Splenda was okay in coffee or something. I think I drank that for a while, a long time ago. But yeah, I don't miss those. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, no, don't do it. Don't do as I do, for sure. This is my off year. I'm
off
just
year, taking the year off.
Taking the year off. Yeah.
Why?
I mean, I'm still carnivore, certainly, but I'm absolving myself of my sins.
You're also not making sense. What the hell are you talking about? You're absolving yourself of the sin of drinking half a Dr. Pepper Zero?
Well, it's barely January 29th, and I have not. I've been okay. I haven't been horrible, but I've been the worst that I've ever been. But I used to be really, really strict too. So I don't know. All I'm saying is I'm taking what I'm eating and I'm locking it away.
It
The
is
public shall not know. Yeah, I know.
been corrupted,
Corrupted.
corrupted by a harpy.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. But not to where I'm making myself sick. At least not yet. If I make myself sick, then I'm certainly gonna get strict again.
Well, I mean, hell, Valentine's Day's coming up, right?
Right.
This is the end of the mean season, right? It starts. I don't know about the rest of the world, but in the United States, it seems like it starts around leading up to Halloween. There's just buckets of candy everywhere. Every store you go in, there's just, we call them end displays or whatever, pallets of candy. Just buy Halloween candy, buy buckets and buckets and boxes and bags of candy, right?
Right.
So it's everywhere because people start buying it and they start eating it before Halloween even gets here.
Right.
You see it at the office. You see people handing it out at businesses. Your friends have it. Your friends are eating it. It's candy, 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 candy. And then you start moving into Thanksgiving. Right?
Right.
And there's pies and pumpkin ale and all kinds of other disgusting things everywhere. And then Christmas. There's more candy. There's more desserts. There's more booze. It just never ends. And then you get New Year's.
Well, New
Cakes,
Year's
candies,
is more about
booze.
alcohol than anything. There's no one buys like a New Year cake. Like that's not a thing.
No, but there's still all the, it's like people are partying, so there's party food around, right?
And if they have like the leftover candy from Halloween, that's still around. Yeah, I think that I don't know exactly that, but yeah, they discovered that because of a tribe that was eating the stevia leaves and they had serious
Once you read
fertility
Christina's
issues.
comment for it.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know if it's true, Christina says, but someone told me stevia was originally made as a birth control used on lab mice that was meant to be used for people. So I don't know. I don't know about the last part, but the rest of it I know is true.
I know, I'm not sure who was using it for birth control, but I know stevia was quite big in Japan for many decades, before it became common in the West. So I guess we blame the Japanese. Of course, they probably don't put it in everything like we do. They're probably like, "You're crazy. You putting that in soda? You're out of your damn mind." So, be interesting to find out if it works as birth control.
And how much you have to like ingest, of course, too.
Yeah, I mean, do you even ingest it? I mean, how does it work as birth control? Right?
As a suppository, Tom. As a suppository.
Always a suppository with this guy. So, where were we?
Speaking of suppositories, how's your egg mixture that you posted in the group? The what was it? Raw egg, collagen powder, and something
Oh,
else.
yeah. So the experiment, the idea was to eat 30 eggs a day for 30 days and see what happens. One, they talked about how good it was and they were giving it to burn victims. We talked about that a while ago, and then several people posted that, various places that eating 30 eggs a day for a month was like got yielded the same type of results as a cycle of anabolic steroids. So it's like, oh, that sounds like an interesting experiment. Of course, they started the experiment, and then the egg shortage hit.
Oh, speaking of the egg shortage, it has hit Old Mo. I went to Sam's Club, no eggs. Luckily, the fiance has her Costco card, so we went to Costco. Two cartons of egg limit, but they're running a bit low too. So next week or the next couple of weeks, the organic, smaller, expensive market also running low on eggs. Haven't checked the main markets, but running low on eggs. We got the chickens, of course, at my aunt's. They're producing. Hopefully, they don't completely freeze to death. We have a snowstorm coming through tonight, My aunt did once bring the chickens inside the house, but she said never again.
Mm.
Anyone that knows about birds knows that birds are extremely messy. They have no concept of cleanliness whatsoever. Birds. Just throwing that out there.
Hmm. Well, birds, they fly around, make a mess everywhere else, spread their mess everywhere, stick them in a house, and shit goes wrong.
Right. Anyway, continue, Tom.
Yeah, so I never really been able to just even more than a few days at a time get 30 eggs in. My original intention was just to drink raw egg. And of course, the whole egg I didn't really care for. It was just it was a mess to drink. So I was like, well, I'll just blend it so it's smooth, and I don't have what's the stringy stuff in the egg, the membranes or whatever hanging out of my beard and stuff like that, So, and that was all right, but I found that like when I start drinking it, and my appetite would go away. So I couldn't get enough in. I wasn't getting my protein requirement that I was targeting. So then it was like, people were giving me suggestions. One of the things I did is I blended the raw. Well, I started diluting the whole egg with some egg whites to get the fat content down a little bit, see if it was a little less satisfying, so you drink a little more. But then I couldn't get egg whites either. And then I mixed some the other day. I posted a picture. I mixed the eggs, egg whites, and collagen peptides, blended it together and froze it, ate it like ice cream. It was pretty good, but it was really hard in the middle. So it's kind of like, it was a chore. I know I poured it in. I poured it into a big dish too. So I had this huge dish. It was like, I'm not going to eat all this at one time. And so.
How many eggs were in the dish? Or if you could guess.
That was a dozen.
Oh.
It was a dozen plus some egg white, I don't know. The collagen powder probably didn't take up that much space, but, it's a little more volume. I think I made 2 batches of one. I put a little water in it to thin it out, but I don't think I haven't even, that one's still in the freezer. I haven't even touched it yet. So trying to find creative ways. Like today I was eating scrambled eggs and chili mixed together.
There you go.
So I'd made a batch chili and I'd made a pan with scrambled eggs. I could fit a dozen eggs in a pan in a 12-inch cast iron skillet, and cook it, scramble it that way. And I'd add a little bacon, and I think it was I had a little bit of smoked Gouda left, your favorite. So I threw some of that on there. It was quite good. So the chili, it's just ground beef with a little seasoning and stuff like that. We talked about chili before. So that and scrambled eggs mixed together, quite good, quite nice. So, but very filling. That's the thing. It's like I get full so fast, and it's like, I don't know. I'm gonna have to eat like every hour in order to get all these eggs in. So we'll see. I'll keep chipping away at it. But I scored another 100 eggs yesterday.
Nice.
I'd actually gone out too long ago. I went over to the chicken ranch, and not the chicken ranch outside of Vegas, but the chicken ranch down the street.
And I think that's called the Bunny Ranch, Tom. I don't think it's called the Chicken Ranch.
I think there is a famous place called the Chicken Ranch, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, anyways, I'd been there not that long ago, bought some eggs, gave some to my friend, Shell, because she went over there to get my hair cut. And she's like, oh, yeah, I heard they're running out by noon. And she's cutting my hair at like 11. And I'm like, really? They're running out too? She's like, yeah, everybody's going there to buy eggs because nobody else has eggs. So she cut my hair and I ran back over and got another 100 eggs. Which, here's the thing, is like, how much room do you have in your fridge? And how, and then you need containers that fit in your fridge that can hold eggs without breaking them,
Well, I think you can I think there's ways to store eggs without refrigeration.
Yeah, you
Like,
can. Yeah, and they could sit out for a little while. They don't spoil real easy, but just seems safest and easiest to just try and get them in the fridge somehow.
right.
So I actually, the little fridge I had for drinks upstairs,
Yeah.
I actually brought that downstairs, and that's all that's in it is a case of eggs, a giant cardboard box of eggs. So plus, I think there's still some eggs in the other fridge. So
Hey, good thing our YouTube channel's not that big. Otherwise, you might have some people knocking at your door with some like pitchforks and you're telling us to go carnivore, but there's no eggs. You're hoarding all the eggs. Yeah,
egg hoarder.
egg hoarder. And you have a gas stove. Man, you're a top tier.
Yeah, right. First time in history it didn't make sense to have a gas stove. For people who don't know, price. I mean, did natural gas didn't go up everywhere, right?
I don't think so. I think mainly
Because
where you're at.
my natural gas bill is normally like $30, $40 in the winter,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden it was $168. So, what? Because people are like, oh, gas is gonna double. I'm like, it'd be $60, $80 for the winter. It's not that bad. But it was $168, not 60. It's like, damn, really, really giving us thanks, Joe Biden. Yeah. So yeah, it's price of eggs is up, price of gas is up. So the experiment budget had to like quadruple. Not only is it taking a lot more money, it's taking a lot more time because it's very hard to track down eggs. So I don't even think like when you call the stores, I don't even think they want to tell you over the phone whether they have them or not. You have to go in to find out. How painful is that?
That information's classified.
Yeah.
Your yard's big enough to have chickens.
I don't have time to take care of chickens. They'd be
They take care of themselves.
coyotes would be in there eating them in no time. If the coyotes didn't get them, the raccoons would. If the raccoons didn't get them, the bobcats would. Bobcats didn't get them. The house cats, the hawks. I need like a Fort Knox backyard.
We just got quite a bit of wire. We got like you see some fencing. Look, ours is pretty Mickey Mouse, and our chickens survived the spring, fall.
Didn't you have a break-in?
Did, but we patched that up. Yeah.
You don't have packs of wild dogs and coyotes everywhere, though, do you?
No, that we do not. I think because there's enough cows and other things that they're too scared.
Yeah, I think we have so many coyotes because there's so many cats to eat. And there's so much pet food, They people feed their animals outside and coyotes come and eat it, come and eat the cats, the dogs sometimes. And you know what I saw the other night and it just blew my mind?
What?
I saw a fox running down the street. I have never seen a wild fox here before. I thought I was hallucinating. I was actually coming from the gym. I was right there, but the In and Out by the 91 there.
Mm-hmm.
I think we went there, didn't we?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so I was coming down that street there, and I was waiting at a signal, started to drive, and I saw this. I thought, it's not uncommon to see a cat just run out on the road.
Right.
And I realized it had this gigantic tail.
Big
and it was
tail.
really short for a cat, too. It was like the length of a cat, but it was lower to the ground and it had this huge freaking tail. And I was like, is that a cat dragging a squirrel? What is going on? I realized it's a fox. So there you go. Got a fox issue now.
Well, not an issue. I mean,
concern.
If you have chickens.
Well, I mentioned it to some people and they're like, oh yeah, somebody else spotted a fox, over by blah, blah, blah. It was in the news. I was like, really? So I don't know where they came from. I know they had them up in the mountains sometimes, but I've never seen them down here.
Who wins, Trixie or the fox?
If Trixie were to pay any attention to the fox, so you'd probably go So, when she gets excited, she gets excited.
Right. Yeah.
The other day, I looked out my back door and there was a big black cat staring at me. And I said, Trixie, go tell that cat to get out of here. And she looked at me and she looked at the cat. And she looked at me and she looked at the cat. And I'm like, go give the cat the business. And she had no interest in chasing the cat off. It's like, damn it.
Trixie, you're not earning your steak.
No. Well, that's another reason. I mean, if I had chickens, the first time I went out to feed the chickens, she'd be like, hey, why are you paying attention to that bird? That's here first. And she'd probably kill the chickens. There's just feathers.
Well, maybe you just get some other property to set up some chickens.
Yeah, Aaron was telling me he was looking at property in Norco, which is very close by, and he was like, look, man, it's a perfect place to have some chickens right here. We could work on cars over here. And I was like, I don't have time for chickens. I barely have time to do a YouTube video once a week. How am I going to take care of chickens?
Well, it sounds like Aaron volunteered.
Well, he's got 3 kids, so the kids can take care of the chickens.
There you go. Aaron doesn't sleep either, apparently.
Not much.
Oh, and he made it back to Utah safe, right? Or made it back from Utah safe, I take it?
Yeah, he drove out there. He took a 74 Impala, which has got to be one of the longest cars ever made. It is so freaking long. He took that one out and brought back the red car that he's driven a few times. So it's going to drive the red car again on February 17th. The date festival in Indio. So, and it's going to be a multi-heat event. So you got to actually do something as pit crew this time.
There you go.
I take my hammer, my saw, my crowbar, my wrenches. It's funny because the first time we didn't realize that they put these giant lug nuts on the car, and they're all like 1 inch. Who the hell uses 1 inch lug nuts, right?
Right.
We couldn't find a 1 inch socket. And Aaron was a little out of it after the first heat. He was like walking around in a daze and like, where's the sockets? Where's the sockets? He's like, huh? What sockets? What do you need sockets for? I'm like, take the wheels off the car. And so anyways, we borrowed some from somebody else. Actually took the wheels off while we were looking for sockets. So afterward I was like, oh, I'm gonna go buy a 1 inch socket, make sure I have it next time. So then I was getting all my tools organized, and I found 2 more 1 inch sockets. It's like, where the hell did these come from? Now I have 3 1 inch sockets. So Miss Patricia has suggested that your aunt get some chicken nappies, which I'm guessing are diapers.
There you go.
And Christina says, I can't keep chickens either. Lost some to a bear, foxes, coyote, wild dogs, hawks, owls, and just about anything else you can imagine has killed my chickens. There you go. Not had a problem with bears in this neighborhood. However, they do live in them thar hills.
And they're known to come down from time to time in the LA area.
A lot of people are kind of surprised to find out that there are bears in California.
It's only on our flag.
It's only on the flag, right? Yeah. So there used to be like a lot of grizzly bears and wolves, and they killed off most of the grizzly bears and all of the wolves at one point. So, but yeah, it was a thing back in the day just to be fighting a bear in Malibu Canyon.
I remember camping as a kid and a bear walked through our campsite. That was fun. Oh, and hanging your food in a tree. Yeah, it doesn't work when your bear up on his hind legs is like 10 feet tall or whatever.
Yeah, some of those bears are really big. Yeah.
Watch for claw marks on trees. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, Aaron's ice just got snagged by a bear when he was camping, and it was one of those giant bear-proof ones. And I've helped him load that thing in his truck. When it's full with ice, it's got to weigh 200 pounds, easy. Like It's big. You know, it's like what's that brand, that real popular one? Anyways, it's a big heavy duty ice chest, and it's supposedly bear proof, right? And he said that bear threw it up in the air like it was a freaking football, trying to break it open, and the bear eventually gave up.
Well, it's still bear proof.
It's bear proof, but yeah, good luck getting a 200-pound ice chest up in a tree. I mean, it can be done, but you better have some sturdy trees. I'm just saying. You're gonna need some block and tackle, and a lot of ingenuity. Hope a bear doesn't know how to untie a knot. Like that. Yeah, bears.
But we're not carnivores, so we don't have those snouts and claws. So I mean, yeah, compared to a bear, I mean, well, bears also eat a few berries, so the bears aren't even carnivore enough. I guess.
Yeah. Well, bears do whatever they want. I mean, they're bears. He's going to tell them what to do, right? It's the bear. Bear wants to eat a moose. Bear eats a moose. Bear wants to rip the top off your camper. Bear rips the top off your camper.
Wait, bear eats a moose? No, I think the moose beats the bear. Maybe it's a small moose.
there's this frightening footage of this moose next to a road with a broken leg, and it's a big moose. The moose is way longer than the bear, right? It's full-grown moose, average bear. Bear just walks up, sticks his mouth on the moose's spine, and just drags it off like it's nothing. You're like, how strong do you have to be to just drag a moose around with your mouth? I mean, it looks ridiculous. And you go, that is a hell of a strong animal. Right?
Right. Well, it was a moose with a broken leg. I don't know if that counts. I mean, I get the
but a moose is like 1,000 pounds. How much do you think you can pull with your teeth?
Right. No, like
confident carnivore.
Hey, wow.
Look at that. Long time no see. Good to see you here. Yeah. We're just talking about bears.
And moose.
And a moose. So I don't know. I wouldn't mind making a deal with a bear. Split a moose.
Yeah.
I don't think the bear is going to eat the whole moose at one time, right?
Well, not at one time, but I've heard they keep things around. We miss you too.
We miss you too. Yeah, there was that hunter in Russia that got dragged into a bear den. The bear broke his back, and somebody rescued him from a bear den. He had moss growing on him. He'd been in there so long. I was like, oh my God. Again, bears do whatever they want because they're bears.
Right, yeah.
Including keeping a broken pet human in their den.
Yeah, that just seems like a traumatizing and terrifying experience.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few things in life that's like, yeah, no, not for me. No interest whatsoever. Pass. Yeah. Anyway, well, it sounds like we've covered the bare necessities. So maybe we ought to skedoodle.
All right. So everybody out there, eat your animals to optimize your mitochondria.
Optimize your mitochondria. Stabilize and optimize.
Stabilize and optimize. All right, kids. Thanks for watching. Make sure to leave us comments on YouTube. And thanks for coming. Thanks for chatting it up. And
join us at Autistic Carnivores, Meat Mosaic YouTube, Meat Mosaic Telegram, my Instagram, Tom A. Clark, or Thomas Clark. Thomas Clark, Instagram. Post our shenanigans and our meats. I tried to get Tom to post more on Instagram, but he won't.
I did it for a while, and then I don't know. Like, I go to Instagram like once a week, and I've got 600 messages from people. They've been like sending me stuff, and I'm like, okay, you guys message me on Facebook, you text me on my phone, and you message me on Instagram. And I'm just like, I'm supposed to check all three simultaneously all day, every day.
Yes.
I don't know. Falls off my radar somewhere. I'm just like, Too much.
You act as if you have a job and things to do.
Right? Yeah. If it's just like a stay at home multimillionaire with nothing better to do. Oh wait, no. I'm not that guy. I'm a working stiff. Sits in traffic.
There you go.
All right, kids. It's good seeing y'all.
We probably will have a Super Bowl show since me and Tom really don't watch the Super Bowl. I don't think I'll be going to like a party or anything. I don't know about you, Tom. I am in Missouri, so obligated to go to Kansas Chiefs because I do live in Missouri. So kind of got to have to.
Sounds good to me. I have no idea when the Super Bowl is, so let me know.
Second Sunday of February, or the 1st of February, 1st or 2nd, one of those two of February, Sunday. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, sure. Let's do a Super Bowl live.
There we go.
All right. Next holiday, we'll do our 24-hour live stream, right?
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
We should set that up. And we'll try and get Joe in here soon.
Yeah.
Mr. Zumball is coming back soon. Maybe we'll get Confident Carnivore on.
So it's the second. Are you saying it's February 2nd, or are you saying it's the second Sunday in February? I think it's the second Sunday in February.
Cool. Which I don't know.
Like the 12th or something.
Cool. Sounds good.
Eat your meat. Feel better. And whatever you do, don't fall down the moose hole.
Are we ending the broadcast now?